Today we are going to see introduction to algorithms, pseudocode and flowchart. An algorithm is a procedure consisting of a finite set of unambiguous rules or instructions which specify a finite sequence of operations that provides a solution to the problem or to a specific class of problems for any allowable set of input quantities. In other words, an algorithm is said to be a step-by-step procedure to solve a given problem. Algorithms are one of the most basic tools that are used to develop the problem-solving logic. An algorithm is defined as a finite sequence of explicit instructions that, when provided with a set of input values, produces an output and then terminates. In an algorithm, after a finite number of steps, solution to the problem is achieved. They can have steps that repeat or repair decisions until the task is completed. Alternatively, we can define an algorithm as a set or list of instructions for carrying out some process step by step. A recipe in a cookbook is an excellent example of an algorithm. The recipe includes requirements for the cooking or ingredients and the method of cooking them until you end up with a nice cooked dish. Similarly, an algorithm is a set of instructions that, if faithfully followed, will produce a solution to the given problem or perform some specific task. When an instruction is followed, it is said to be executed. Let us develop an algorithm. Using notion of the algorithm and the concept of the variable, we develop the following algorithm for calculating area of the square when given one side value. Okay, name of the algorithm is calculating the area of the square when the user is given one side value. Ask the user for the length of the side. So you know very well that is the area of the square is nothing but a side of the side, or A into E. So ask the user for the length of the side, store the value in the box called S, that is side, calculate the area of the square S into S, that is side into side, store the area in the box called A, that is area, print the value in the box A appropriately, and stop the process. So these are all the steps in order to calculate the area of the square. So if we follow the step by step given in the algorithm, then we will get the area of the algorithm. Then we are going to see what is flowchart and pseudocode. There are two commonly used tools to help us to document a program logic. That is what we have seen in the algorithm. It's to be implemented. The help of the flowchart and pseudocode. Generally, flowchart work well for smaller programs, but pseudocode is used for larger problems. Flowchart. Flowcharting is a tool developed in the computer industry for showing the steps involved in the process. It's a pictorial representation of an algorithm in which the steps are drawn in the form of the different shapes of the boxes, diamonds, and other shapes connected by arrows. Each shape represents a step in the process, and the arrows show the order in which they occur. The boxes represent the operations, and the arrows represent the sequence in which operations are implemented. The primary purpose of the flowchart is to help the programmer in understanding the logic of the program. So once we go through the line by line in the algorithm, we can easily understand the program. So now I want to even show pictorially what the algorithm does step by step with the help of the flowchart. So it's like a drawing, that is a blueprint of constructing a house. So before constructing a house, we used to even pictorially represent the house. After construction, how it looks like. So here also, once the algorithm is developed, so we want to even show to the user, that is in the terms of picture, how it will work. So that is why it is called as a pictorial representation of the algorithm, in which the steps are drawn in the form of the different shapes. So what are all the different shapes we are going to use, we'll see in the class. So the primary purpose of the flowchart is to help the programmer in understanding the logic of the program. So understand the logic, not by going through line by line in the algorithm. I want to even look at the picture. I want to even understand the logic. That is why we are preparing the flowchart. Therefore, it is always not necessary to include all the required steps in detail. We need not even include all the steps which we have written in the algorithm. Instead, you can even concise the instructions and show and portray that as a flowchart to the user. So they can be compared with the blueprint of the building. As I told you, it's like an architect draws a blueprint before starting the construction of the building. Here also we can draw the flowchart before writing the code, before writing the code or developing the code. As in the case of the drawing a blueprint, the flowchart is drawn according to the defined rules and using the standard flowchart symbols, which are prescribed by the American National Standard Institute. And so ANSI prescribes some of the tools, that is some rules and some of the symbols. It prescribes some of the symbols which will be useful for us to construct a flowchart. So these are all the symbols given. See the first symbol, that is a rectangular symbol, which is called as a process. So what is this function? It indicates any type of internal operation, any type of process which can be even developed, which can be maybe done, that is shown with the help of the rectangular box. Next, a parallelogram symbol, which is called as the input and output. So input and output process can be represented with the help of the parallelogram symbol, which is useful for any input or output operation, which indicates that a computer is to obtain data or output results. So if I get any input from the user, or if I want to even output any results to the screen, I can use this parallelogram symbol. So next one is a decision or diamond symbol called maybe decision symbol, used to ask a question that can be answered. That is, maybe we want to continue, or the answer is yes or no, if you want to continue or not, or the result is 1 or 0. So based on the decision, they will be proceeding further. The next one is a connector symbol, that is a oval shaped symbol. It's a connector symbol. It allows a flowchart to be drawn without intersecting the lines or without a reverse flow. So we need not even go to the previous page. Instead, we can use this connector to draw the flowchart in the next 6 pages. So a continuity flow is there by using the connector. The next one is a predefined process, which is used to invoke a subroutine or to interrupt the program. So in order to even show the function or any subroutine or any module, we'll be using this symbol. So it's a horizontal rectangular symbol with a vertical bar in both sides. So it is called as the name of the symbol is called as a predefined process. The last one is the terminal symbol. So this is a symbol, it's nothing but drawn with the help of the horizontal cylindrical symbol, which is known as a terminal. So if you want to start the flowchart, or if you want to even stop the process, so I can even use this a terminal symbol, which indicates the starting and ending of the program or process or interrupt the program. Yes. So last one, the lines, that is the flow lines. So upper arrow, lower arrow, down arrow, left arrow, right arrow. All these will be showing the direction, the way to move with them, how to even proceed with the program. So these are all called show lines, as direction lines. So they will be guiding you to move left. The help of the left arrow will be moving left. If the help of the, maybe if down arrow is drawn, they will be moving further to the downwards in the program. So let us design an algorithm to add the scores. So what we'll be doing, first we'll be starting the algorithm and initializing some value as 0. So get the first test score from the keyboard, add the first test score to the sum value. Then once the sum is partially been updated, get the second test score, add to the sum partial sum, get the third test score, add to the partial sum, get the fourth test score value, add to the sum value, get the fifth test score value, then add to the partial sum, get the sixth test score, add to the partial sum, then output the sum value, because we had only 6 inputs. For example, the inputs are given. So 26, 49, 98, 87, 62, 75. What is the procedure according to the algorithm? Let us see how to proceed with them. So start, sum equal to initial is 0. So get the first test score. What is the first test score here? So that is 26. So add the first test score to the sum, that is 0 plus 26. So sum value is 0 plus 26 is equal to 26. Get the second test score, that is a score equal to what? That is incoming score is 49. Add to the partial sum. So partial sum is 26 plus 49 equal to 75. Get the third test score. What is the third test score value? That is a 98. Add to the sum value. What is the partial sum? That is 75 plus 98 is 173. Get the fourth test score value, that is 87. Add to the partial sum, that is it will become now partial sum will become 260. Get the fifth test score, that is a 62. Add to the some partial sum value, they will give you 312. Next, get the sixth test score, that is 75. Get sixth test score, that is 75. Add to the partial sum, you will get 387. That is the value. So output the sum is now 387. stop the process. Now what we are going to see now, how to represent the same algorithm with the help of the flowchart. The corresponding flowchart is drawn as shown below. So start, so with the help of the oval shape horizontal, the help of the horizontal cylindrical shape, we are drawing start. Then we are moving to the process. What is the process? Initialize some value, that is sum equal to 0. Next, with the help of the parallelogram, we are getting the first input. That is, a parallelogram is a symbol which is useful in flowchart to get the input and output value. So now to get the input and output, the output value. So get the first test with the help of the parallelogram symbol. Then do the process. That is what we are doing now. We are adding the first test code to the sum value. So with the help of the rectangular symbol, we are drawing the, we are mentioning the process. Next, get the second test code. That is why it is mentioned with the help of the, drawn with the help of the parallelogram. Then add the second test code to the sum. It's mentioned in the rectangular box. Then we are connecting, that is with the help of the connector, we are connecting and moving to the next page. Connector is 1, named as 1. We are, that is the flow is there. In the we are continuing the flow. Get the third test score value. So add the third test code to the sum value. Get the fourth test code with the help of the, see the input. All these inputs are drawn with the help of the parallelogram. All these process is represented with the help of the test score. Next, get the fifth test score and add the fifth test score to the sum. Then see the next one, that is with the help of parallelogram symbol. It's been representing. It is represent that we are getting the sixth test score. Add to the sum. Output the sum. Last stop the process. Stopping the process, as I told you, both start and stop should be indicated with the help of the horizontal cylindrical symbol. So that is why it is shown here. Now, the problem with this algorithm is that what is the problem here? Some of the steps appear more than once. For example, here only 6 steps. So I need to even write a very lengthy algorithm. Suppose if I want to get 100 numbers, I cannot even write line by line. That is maybe collection of pages. No, I cannot even write such a lengthy algorithm or lengthy flowchart. I cannot even draw. So what I want, even concise algorithm, or I want to shorten the algorithm or a flowchart. How to do it? So start, you are starting the process, get the initiate the sum value is equal to 0, get a value, get the input value, and sum equal to sum plus value. So add the sum with the, add the partial, that is the initial value of sum equal to 0. Now add the partial sum with the incoming value. So to get the, to update the value of sum. Then go to the step number 3, go to the step number 3 to get the next value. So get the next value, add the value with the partial sum value, update the sum value. Again go to step 3 to get the next value and add the sum value, add the incoming value to the partial sum. Then sum will become sum equal to value. So like that, this goes on till all the values are obtained as an input and the output sum is calculated. Once the process is stopped, that is the input values are being stopped. That is we are collecting the input values. Once the process stopped, now we are that is giving the value of the sum to the screen. So we are printing the output to the screen. The process ends. So same time now, since we shortened the algorithm, we are portraying the flowchart here. Start, sum equal is initialize 0. So get a value, sum equal to sum plus value, then move to the leftwards, then upwards, then rightwards, get a value, again sum, again go to the left side, then up and right, get a value, sum equal. So this is the way sum will be updated. Output the sum value and stop the process. So this is a corresponding program. What we are doing now, we are initializing the value variables num, and I is an integer variable initialized as 1, sum equal to 0, into decision. So decision is integer variable, and we are getting, we are want to even get the input, and we are getting the scanning the decision value. Decision is equal to 1 now, printer enter the number to be added, scan of the number. So sum equal to sum plus number, and then some value. Then again go to the go to table. So go to the table. Then statement, print of enter, you want to continue now? Yes, till I press 1, I'll be getting the input, adding the value of the sum and output the sum value. So what is the benefits of the flowchart here? A flowchart helps to clarify how things are currently working and how they could be improved. Developing a flowchart encourages communication among the participants and establishes a common understanding between them about the process. So they help in revealing the redundant or misplaced step. If I miss any step, I can even easily insert and then start writing the program. But once you write the program, then you cannot even do all the changes to the program itself. You can do, but it will take some time. So instead of that, first you create a flowchart and then see whether is there any redundant step or any steps are misplaced or any steps are missed. So you can add them. If any step is missed, I can add them. And if you find that any steps are redundant, you can even include them. You can even delete them. So like that, you update the flowchart first of all, you make it as a concise one, then you go for developing the program. So it also helps in establishing important areas for monitoring the data collection and to identify areas for improvement or increase the efficiency. So reasons for using flowchart as a problem solving tool is given below. So it makes the logic very clear. So once you go through line by line the flowchart, so you can easily understand the logic. So you need not even explain to each and everyone who are that is, who won't even understand the program. Instead, you show the flowchart. So line by line, it's a graphical representation. So any user can easily understand what is going on, what is the logic behind it. Communication. Flowchart is a better ways of communicating the logic of the system to all concerned. The diagrammatic representation of logic is easier to communicate to all the interested parties compared to actual program code. So next one, effective analysis. With the help of the flowchart, the problem can be easily analyzed in an effective way. Useful in coding. Once a flowchart is ready, now the programmers can plan for coding process effectively. Proper testing and debugging helps in rectifying errors. As I told you, if any step is misplaced, now you can even shuffle it. Any step is missed, you can add it. If any step is redundant, found to be redundant, you can even delete it. So overall, if I consolidate the reasons for using flowchart, that is makes logic very clear. Communication provides better communication among the clients. Effective analysis of the program, useful in coding, proper testing and debugging of the code to easily detect the errors. Pseudocode. Next, we will move on to the pseudocode. Pseudocode specifies the steps required to accomplish a task. It's an outline of the program written in a form that can be converted into real programming statements. So it uses the plain English statements rather than symbols to represent the process of computer program. It uses a plain English. So however, if I want to even develop a pseudocode now in my own way, my English, using the simple English statements, I'll be writing the code. The goal of writing pseudocode is to provide high-level description of an algorithm which facilitates analysis and eventual coding. So what is the goal of writing pseudocode? Is to provide a high-level description of the algorithm, high-level description of the algorithm which facilitates analysis and eventual coding. Pseudocode cannot be compiled nor executed, and there are no real formatting or syntax rules. So pseudocode cannot be compiled or cannot be executed. It's a very simple English way of framing the statement. So for our understanding only, so they cannot be executed. So why pseudocode is necessary? The programming process is a complicated one in general. Any programming process is a complicated one. So first we have to understand the programming specifications. So what are the input variables? What are the variables should be initialized, and how the process should go on, everything. So this is policy specification. Have to first understand it. Then you need to organize your thoughts and create the program. So you must break the main tasks that must be accomplished into simple ones in order to eventually write a fully developed code. Writing pseudocode will save your time later during the conception and testing phase of the program's development. Now, for example, suppose you are required to design an algorithm for finding average of 6 numbers. So what should be this? A very simple pseudocode. You are starting the process, get some value, average obviously sum divided by 6, and output the average. So this is the way we are writing the pseudocode in a simple English statements. So what should be the corresponding flowchart? You are starting the process. See the flowchart as a starting and stop are drawn with the help of the horizontal cylindrical symbols and get the sum value. That is with the help of the parallelogram is being drawn. Get the sum value. Then average equal to sum by 6. So since we are doing the process, we are representing the average equal to sum by 6 with the help of the rectangle symbol. Then output is sum, and stop the process. So how to write the program immediately as soon as we constructed? Yes, what we are doing now, we are writing the program A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, or integer variable, average is a float variable, and get the all 6 values from the keyboard. Average is the total value divided by 6. So print the average. So this is the very simple program written with the help of the logic what we constructed. So next one is the pseudocode required to input 3 numbers from the keyboard and output the addition as a result. Use the variable sum, number 1, number 2, number 3, and accept the numbers 1, 2, 3 from the keyboard. Sum equal number 1, 2 plus 3. Print the sum value in the program. So this is a simple logic. This is a simple pseudocode required to input 3 numbers. And with the help of very simple statements, I am writing the pseudocode. And the next following pseudocode describes an algorithm which will accept 2 numbers from the keyboard. Calculate the sum and product, displaying the answer on the monitor screen. So very simple pseudocode. How you are writing? Use the variable sum, product, number 1, number 2. Next, display any input 2 numbers, that is number 1 and number 2. Sum equal to number 1 plus number 2. Yes, print the sum value, that is sum. Product is number 1 and number 2. Print the product. So these are all simple English statements I am using to develop the program, the problem at hand. That is to find when two numbers are given, we are finding the sum and the product value. And then this is the corresponding pseudocode I'm developing with the with the help of the if then else. So if your age is greater than 17, then display. So what is the objective here? If my age is greater than 17, I'm eligible to vote, cast my vote. Or else I send a message indicating that we cannot vote. So now we are going to write the pseudocode with the help of the if then else statement. If your age is greater than 17, then display a message indicating that you can vote. Or else display a message indicating that you cannot even vote. This is a corresponding flowchart, age equal to, that is, I'm checking with the help of the dimension we are using. If your age, that is to take a decision. If your age is greater than 17, then what I'm doing, I'm displaying a message that you can vote. So if your age is greater than 17, and with the help of the dimension I'm drawing here, to specify this process. Yes, if it is true, your age is greater than, suppose in my age is 20. My age is 20 is greater than 17, so I'll be moving in the right side direction. So display that I can vote. My age is 15, if it is less than 17, then I'll be moving in the left side. And see the box, that is a parallelogram box being written for to specify the output, that is they are displaying you cannot even vote. So this is the way the flowchart has been drawn when the decision has to be taken. And here count is assigned as a very simple pseudocode. So count is assigned as 0, and with the help of the while loop here, with the help of the while keyword, we are writing the pseudocode. While count is less than 5, count value is less than 5, and display I love computers. So till count is less than 5 and displaying I love computers, and each and every time within the while loop I am incrementing the count value. Yes, again, so initially count will be assigned as 0, while count is less than 0, yes, obviously display I love computers. Then increment count value, count will be now assigned as 1. 1 is less than 5, yes, display I love computers. Again, increment count will become now 2. Again, I love computers to be printed. Again, we increment the count, it will become now 3, display I love computers. Again, increment count now it becomes 4. 4 is less than 5, display I love computers. Increment count will become 5. 5 cannot be less than 5, so the while loop will be stopped. It will be coming out of the while loop. Now, this is a corresponding flowchart for the that is pseudocode what we have seen with the help of the while loop. Count is assigned as 0. So if it's counted, then we are moving downwards and to be entering into the decision making process. Count is less than 5, is less than 5. Then we are moving to the, that is at the right hand side. If that is, it is true. Count is, if a count less than 5 is true, now it will be moving to the right hand side. We are displaying I love computers. Then we are incrementing the count value. We are incrementing the count value. Then again, you are coming and checking whether count value is less than 5. If it is true, no, then we are displaying I love computers. Again, we are incrementing the count value. Again, we are checking whether count is less than 5. If it is true, no, display I love computers. So like that, the process will go on. When count is greater than 5 or equal to 5, the process will stop. It will come out of the, it will move downwards. That is in the direction specified by the F. That is false. So here there is a flowchart is given, corresponding pseudocode is given. So what we are doing here now, we are writing a pseudocode. We are finding the rate of interest. So interest value, we are calculating the interest value here. So what we are reading now, you are reading the username, balance value and rate of interest. Compute the interest value. Compute the interest as balance into rate of interest and write. So display the name and the rate of interest. So now corresponding flowchart. What is the flowchart? How you are drawing? So now we are starting the process. So read the customer name, customer balance value, and rate of interest. So all these we are getting, being obtained as a input from the keyboard. And then we are calculating the interest to be paid, nothing but balance value into rate of interest. And then write the username as well as the rate of interest to be paid. So we are stopping the process. So now we have written the pseudocode as well as we have drawn the flowchart. The flowchart is very easy, obviously, to understand what is the logic behind the program. So immediately what we are doing, we are writing the program, equivalent program. So what is the program here? Input stdio.h. So void main. So first we have to initialize the rate rate of interest, balance, and interest value as the floating point variable. Print. So we are printing rate of interest and balance values in rupees. Scanner, we are getting the input from the keyboard, both rate of interest and balance value. Then interest to be paid is being calculated with the help of rate of interest into balance value. Then we are printing the interest into the screen. So once, what is the conclusion here is, once you have drawn the flowchart and equivalent pseudocode has been written in your own English, then understanding the problem is very easier. The logic is, understanding the logic is very easier. Immediately you can write the code effectively. Then the second problem. So what is the second one here? The flowchart. What is the flowchart here? The flowchart is here is start the process. So what is the objective of the program? The objective of the program is to read the input three variables, that is x, y, z. And what we are doing now, we are calculating the sum of these three variables, and we are finding the average of these three variables and product of these three variables. So we are finding sum, average, and product, and we are printing sum value, average value, and product value to the output. So what is the pseudocode here? The pseudocode is read x and y z values from the keyboard. So compute the sum value as x plus y plus z, and then compute the average as s divided by sum divided by 3. Compute the product as x into y into z, and write the display, that is what display the sum, average, and product value. So sum, average, and product value or B should be displayed. Now what we have drawn the flowchart, that is we obtain three values, sum value, average value, product value. How they have to be calculated, everything we identify with the help of the flowchart and pseudocode. Now we understood the logic, we are directly going to the program. So include stdio.s void main. So what we are doing here, we are declaring the integer variables x, y, z, sum value and product value, and here average is a floating point variable. Yes. So now what we are doing, we are getting the input values x, y, z from the keyboard. Find the sum value as x plus y plus z. Then print the sum value, and then find the average. Calculate the average. Average is nothing but the sum value by 3. Then print the average value. Then product x into y into z. So print of the product on the screen. So product value is to be printed on the screen. So all these are calculated since we have drawn the flowchart as well as we have written the pseudocode. So writing a program is very easy for us to understand. We can easily understand line by line. We can easily understand because already we constructed. We have considered the equivalent flowchart as well as the equivalent pseudocode. The next program is meant for what? The next program is meant for that is finding the greatest number among the two numbers a and b. So read the values of a and b, and what we are checking is obviously when see the pseudocode, if a is less than b now, then bigger value will be equal to b, smaller is equal to a. Suppose else, suppose the condition is the reverse. If a is greater than b, then what will be the bigger value? That is why we are moving to the else part. Bigger a equal to a, smaller value will be b. So then display the bigger and smaller values on the screen. Now coming to the flowchart system, we are starting the process and read a and b. So get the two values a and b from the keyboard. And now I am checking here whether a is less than b value. Suppose a is less than b value, it is drawn within the diamond symbol, that is the decision making process. Suppose a value is less than b, then we can conclude that bigger value obviously is b, smaller will be a. Suppose a is less than b, then obviously bigger value will be a and smaller value will be b. Since we use the flowchart, if a less than b now, we are moving to the right side direction, which is being shown as using the arrow is named as s. If a is less than b, s, then big value equal to b, small value equal to a. Suppose the decision a less than b, a is greater than b, s false. So move to the left hand side direction, bigger value will be a, smaller value will be b. So write big and small in the screen and stop the process. Now it's very easy for us to write the program, equivalent program. include stdio.h void main int a comma b. So what we are printing, type a comma b. So get the because they are the input variables, we have to obtain the values from the keyboard. A and b values have been obtained. If a is less than b, print up a is small and b is bigger. If or else, so suppose a is greater than b, then you skip the if block and come to the else block. Print up a is small and b is big. So this is a way we can easily write the code effectively for finding among any two numbers which is greater and which is smaller. Thank you so much.